Hey everybody, we're back. Holy smokes. We're having all kinds of technical difficulties the last 2 weeks, and I'm surprised I haven't lost my mind over this stuff yet, but it's all good in the hood and we are getting it figured out. Thank you, Sam, for muddling your way through this with me. I appreciate it. I hope I didn't give you a nervous breakdown.
No. Are we live on Facebook right now?
We're live. We're live on Facebook, Sam.
Okay, perfect.
We are. So thank you, everyone, for hanging in there with us. As I said, we're good in the hood now. We're horse girls, so we can rock whatever is thrown at us and get it figured out. And we got this figured out. We just went back to StreamYards. Having all kinds of issues with the rural internet. I don't know if you have issues with that, Sam.
Oh, yes. All the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we actually have additional internet, whatever, on our iPads and other things. I know nothing about technology, by the way. I'll be very upfront with that. But our kids, they use the data up on it when we travel. So then when I need to use it for things like this, it's not there. So I suppose
I'm not there yet. My kids aren't old enough. Well, Gracie like she'll try, but we're not completely there yet. So
yeah, well, I suppose if I throw a few more dollars at Verizon, they'll fix my issues for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So, well, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Sure appreciate it. Beautiful day once again in Minnesota. It's been super hot, as I said before. Record-breaking temps this year, I think, this summer. I've never experienced heat like we've had. I know that the Gallentines have had to change their program up to work around the heat for the safety of their horses, the safety of their workers. The smoke has been a huge issue as well today. I don't know if you are dealing with it, Sam.
Yeah, it's super hazy out, and I don't know if you have like the smell at your place.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Sounds like, or smells like someone's almost burning garbage, you know?
Yes, I thought the same thing this morning.
So,
well, once again, welcome to Coffee with Cowgirl. I'm Brett Kruger, the least techie person that any of you probably know. Thank you guys so much. I said it before when we were in Facebook Live, but in 2.5 short months, not a great brand strategy, which we know we're working on it. Smoke has been a huge issue. We have been able to get our viewership up to 1,000 to 8,000 views per episode, which is pretty dang amazing. We feel really good about it. We feel pretty blessed. Good things are on the horizon for us. We are working towards some big goals. I'm trying not to be a procrastinator on a few things that I just absolutely hate, but we're getting there. And I've had some incredible guests. And I've had some incredible guests with some huge, amazing stories, super inspirational, motivational, great messages, things that you can build on. They've got some very positive messages that are just pretty damn cool. So if you're not on our YouTube channel, make sure that you go to that, Coffee with a Cowgirl. It's an easy place for you to find what we've done in the past, new episodes, what we're doing currently, etc., etc. So thank you all again. Let's get started. I'm very thankful for our guest this morning, Sam Gallentine. Sam is a Minnesota cowgirl. She's a cowgirl boss babe. She's a wife. She's a mom. Her and her husband own and operate together Gallentine Performance Horses. Sam's a really cool chick, hard worker, a great mom. She's going places for sure. I'm thankful to have her today, and I'm excited to hear her story. So thank you, Sam, for joining us this morning. Why don't you take some time and introduce yourself to our viewers?
All right. So if you have not met me, my name is Sam Gallentine. I am originally from New Ulm, Minnesota. People may know them from Herman the German. I don't know. Brooke, have you ever been there? Have you ever been to New
I
Ulm?
have been to New Ulm,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that was where you're from.
Yeah, yep. So I grew up in town, actually. And my family really, we weren't into horses at all. But I just remember being a kid and just always loving horses and having millions and millions of like the little toys. So yeah, that's kind of just where it all started. Just the love for the horse growing up, I guess. And then it kind of just sprouted from there. My mom probably wishes it didn't.
So where are you? Where is your operation based out of now, Sam?
So we're in Belle Plaine, Minnesota right now. Yep.
And you and your husband have been there for how many years?
Oh boy, I knew you were going to ask me this question, and I was trying to do the math last night in my head when I was watering horses. I believe we started in 2012. So, or 2013, 2012, somewhere around there. So like 8 or 9 years.
Okay.
From here. Yeah.
And you have 2 young children.
Yes. So we have Gracie Bell. She's 4, so she'll be 5 in February. And then we have Reese, and he just turned 10 months on the 23rd. So
baby.
Yeah, he's a baby. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you've been operating this with your husband, Ryan.
Correct. Yep.
You guys focus on reining cow horses.
Yep.
And
yes.
How many horses do you guys currently have in training? It's a lot. I was there yesterday, folks.
Yes.
It's a lot of horses.
Oh my gosh. I can't even, I'd have to sit down and count. I think, gosh, well, we might be up to 40 head now, I would say. A lot.
Sam and her husband, they keep large herd. Obviously, when you have a cutting horse, reining cow horse operation, any cow horse operation, you need a lot of cattle. Sam and Ryan have quite a few head of cattle, fresh cattle. They looked awesome, fun to work, good cows. So along, they don't just have the horses, they've got a herd of cattle as well. And you guys have some people that you've got 3 girls that work with you.
Yep. 3. Yep. 3 amazing girls. We are so lucky. So lucky.
Well, speaking from experience, you have to have them because you can't do it on your own. It's too much work. And you guys are already working crazy long hours. Mm-hmm. That's what happens when you're a cowgirl boss babe. You just don't get to quit.
No, never.
Never.
But I was like thinking about this, and I was like, there's that there was a meme going around on Facebook that talked about how your laundry and your dishes will be there when you get back, and I take that very literally.
Yeah, I hear you.
By the time you get in the house, you have kids to feed and lunches to make for the next day, and you try to shower yourself before you go to bed. So it's not very often that my house is clean. So if you ever come to my house, just go to the barn because it's probably cleaner than my house.
Same. Got to be real though, because that's what keeps it interesting and funny, Sam. And I was actually thinking the thing about that food the other day. I don't mind cooking. But I would say in the last month and a half to 2 months, my specialty has definitely become Jack's Pizza and turkey sandwiches. I don't know. I wish somebody would just tell me what I should make every day and then have it like ready for me to prepare, because by the time you get done doing all the things, you just really don't, I don't know, you lose interest in feeding people.
Yeah. It's hard enough to feed yourself, and then you have to feed.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, cereal is a big hit at our house.
Something easy and quick. Sam, so you kind of ventured into a little bit about how you got started in the horse industry, or your background, I should say. So you came from New Ulm. You were what I would call a townie. And how did you dip your toes in that water? How did you get to where you are today? We had a family friend
that my dad worked with that had horses. And I'll never forget that day. We went out to his place, and he put me on a horse. And it was, other than like going to the fair and riding around in a little circle, that was like the only time, like the first time that I had ever been on a horse. And it was just like, that was it. From that minute on, horses were like literally everything. Right. And he had a daughter, or he has a daughter, excuse me. That was the same, but she was a year older than me. So, we grew up, just trail riding and doing stuff like that. And I would say when I was, how old was I? I bet I was 13 or 14. I finally talked my parents into buying me a horse. And their excuse was always, well, why should we buy one when you can just go to Uncle Jim's and ride them for free, right? So I finally talked him into that. And I had met this wonderful gentleman, and I hope he doesn't mind if I name him. I'm sure he won't. But 𝚑𝚕𝚕𝚎, he just lives right outside of New Ulm, by 𝚘𝚎𝚘𝚗𝚎.
I don't know where that is.
Yeah. And so he had started up a boarding business, Melhome Stables. And so I took my horse there and basically worked off, my board, cleaning stalls and doing whatever else, he needed help with. And so I rode my horse, and he had some like POA ponies that he had sitting around, and they weren't started yet. So he's like, well, if you want, you can just like play around with them and start them and, do whatever you want. And kind of from there on out, I had people, a few people there and here and there that would, just drop a horse off and I would ride it for them, or, put some time on it or whatever. And I think when I turned 16 was when I started working for my first horse trainer.
What can you say who it was, Sam?
Yeah. I worked for Dennis and Michelle Oslam. They're out of Redwood. I don't know. Yeah. So Dennis is really big clinician.
Natural horsemanship.
Yeah. We worked with lots and lots of, we started lots of colts, obviously. And then some problem horses. And I'd say that's where I got most of my foundation, because like up until then it was more all of it, everything was self-taught.
Yeah.
And so I worked for Dennis and Michelle up until I graduated. Every day after school, I drove up there, and, from New Ulm, I think it's like a 45-minute drive, half hour, 45 minutes. So I drive up there every day, help Dennis out. In the summer, I basically live there, and, I'm definitely totally blessed and very thankful that they allowed me to do that. That's kind of where I got my first taste of the training, and we traveled a whole bunch, which was amazing. What 16-year-old girl gets to go anywhere. I mean, we went literally everywhere. And I think the coolest thing is we got invited to go to the World Games in Lexington the year that it was in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we did like the little memos and like the little deals for the crowd. Like, gosh, they're not like clinics, but they were just like smaller.
Just like demonstrations.
Yeah.
Like
and we, like a demonstration. That's the word I was looking for. And so we got invited with that, and it was pretty cool. There's a gentleman named J.P. Giacomini, and he's a big in the dressage world. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was a gold medalist in the dressage at some point. Okay. And he created this really cool deal that he calls endo tapping. And so we incorporated that into our program when I worked for Dennis. And so when we got invited to go down there, I actually got to ride in one of his demos.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really, really cool, like super, like at the time I was like, oh yeah, we're just at another thing. Right. And like looking at back now, it's like how many people,
do that.
Stuff like that. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Very cool. So did you go to college then, Sam? I feel you went for.
So after I left Dennis's, I went and worked for a cutting horse trainer, and so that was like after I graduated from high school, and I did online college through Dickinson State University.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I couldn't remember what it was though.
Yeah. Yep. So I went and it's agricultural sales and services, and then I had like a minor in equine science.
Yep.
So yeah.
So how did you meet Ryan then? You guys didn't grow up that far from each other. So did you know each other growing up or?
No, not at all. I don't think Ryan and I's paths crossed until, I think I was probably 18, 19. I don't remember. It was when I actually went and worked for Bob and Anita Jansen up by Pine City. And that's when he was working for a gentleman that was working out of his parents' place, 𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 the cow horse. And we had Matt Gaines come up for a clinic at Anita and Bob's, and they had a trainer day and then, a non-pro day. And so the trainer day.
I remember that.
Yeah. Gosh, that was so long ago.
Because that was during my Purina days.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a very long time ago. It makes me feel kind of old now. But so Kyle was supposed to actually ride in that clinic, and he was, for whatever reason, not able to make it. And so he sent Ryan so that he could, get the experience of riding with Matt and take his 3-year-old up there and what have you. And so, yeah, that was kind of the first time that we crossed paths. And yeah, so after that, I mean, we didn't really, I want to say shortly after that, he had actually moved to Texas to work for Robert Chown. And so we really didn't, talk or anything like that, after first meeting each other. So it was kind of crazy how later on, we crossed paths again, and you don't really think about, wow, I'm going to marry that guy. Right. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So
it is very cool. So fast forward, and now today you guys have a huge training barn, and you guys have had a ton of success, Sam, especially in the last probably 3 years to 4 years, right?
Right, yeah.
And which the success is a testament to their hard work and their dedication to their program. Because as some of you may or may not know, this life is not easy. It is not easy, and the hours are insane. The level of dedication it takes to create and make these horses is insanity. The miles that you drive down the road with no reward that can get to a person. And so sticking with it and having that tough mental game to make and create the next best one is got to be high. And Sam and Ryan have definitely reached that level, I would say, and they keep striving to go further and faster and do better things. So way cool. Our family has known Sam and Ryan for quite a few years now, and I was thinking back to some of our stories, Sam, and I was thinking about, I can't remember if it was last fall, this spring, I can't remember when it was, but you guys needed a trailer. You had a show in Winona, and Brandon's like, yes, use ours, it's fine. So Ryan came and got the trailer, and it was probably around midnight when he got here. And I know that Ryan was working horses all day, and you guys have two little kids. And I knew that he had to go home, which is an hour and a half from here, and get in the truck and take the horses to the show. He had to prepare those horses to show. He had to be around people all day and, create a good environment for his customers. So they had a good winning experience too. And I said to Brandon, I said, oh, that's a lot. I mean, he's here at midnight. And Brandon looked at me and smiled and he said, Breck, that's what people like us do. You do whatever it takes to make it all work. And that's so true. I mean, for me, personally, I think that those are the cool stories. I think that stories like that sometimes outweigh the wins, because it shows me just how hard people are willing to work and go to better themselves and their business. So kudos to you guys, Sam. I know you're busting your ass. It's cool.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
What has been your favorite accomplishment for you thus far to date?
Oh boy. I guess it would just be, it being a mom and having, a dream of being successful in the show pen and making a name for yourself and your family and your business. I guess it's just been, I haven't had anything that I've gone and done nationally yet, just because I haven't had the stock to be competitive, I guess you could say.
I was just going to say that, Sam, because I feel like your goals as a woman, and even if you don't have kids, I don't know if it comes with age, or if it comes with having kids. Like, do your goals and what you want to do for yourself change after the kids?
I don't think they ever, there were times, I guess, where things, I guess you could say, got a little messy per se. After I had Reese, there was a brief moment where, I didn't know if I would go back to training. There were days where, I stayed home with him up until he was 6 months, I think. And Gracie, I was home for a whole year with her before we put her in daycare. And so I think at that particular time and moment, it did change a little bit. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be there and be that person that, raised our kids, and it got a little bit, I don't know if you want to say dark, but I kind of lost my path of like what I wanted in life a little bit. And it was kind of scary. I mean, I didn't know what I wanted. I had conversations with Ryan, trying to figure out what would make me happy and be fulfilled. And, because I mean, I don't know if you stayed home with your kids at all, but, being a stay-home mom is like super hard. It's like incredibly hard. It is just, it's, mentally, it's just really, really hard on, I'm sure anybody who's watching that's been a stay-home mom and that has worked their whole life, you lose that sense of, that sense of worth almost, I want to say, just because, you have worked your whole life and that's kind of all you know. And, it makes you happy and it makes you feel whole. And so when I lost that for a little bit, I was still riding, but it wasn't, I didn't have a string. And I kind of lost my path a little bit and not knowing what I wanted and what I wanted to do anymore. And I knew that was always there to go back to. And I just didn't know if I was mentally wanted to, because I mean, I know, even, horses, riding and training, and it's a mental game, it takes a lot of, just everything, like you said, you have to give your all, because if you don't, I mean, there's no point in even doing it. I guess from where I see it.
I had a similar experience to you, Sam. For me, I feel like, well, because my oldest boy is 13 and the youngest is 9, so there's a few years apart, or age difference, I would say. And I was used to doing whatever I wanted to with Brandon, going wherever, taking off at the drop of a hat. And then you have kids and that changes. And I didn't want to go anywhere and I don't even necessarily know if I was scared to leave the kids with anybody, but I was so afraid that something would happen to him and I if we were in the truck together. And I just couldn't get that out of my head. And it was really hard for me. And then when I had the second one, I went into where you were at with your second one. I didn't, and that's the reason Coffee with a Cowgirl was created. So good things do come out of that. But it's hard. It felt like for me, like things just changed internally. Like the will to win wasn't there for me anymore. I just wanted to ride, to enjoy my horse the day. And that's tough, because when you don't have the will to win, it's really hard to put the money into it to do it.
Yeah.
And I can't say that it's nothing bad, folks. I think that every woman goes through it in her own way, but yet at the same time, they still struggle because they don't feel like other women are going through it either. So thank you, Sam, for sharing that. And
yeah, for sure. I was thinking about that last night, and I was like, do I share something? I don't want to go do I want to go that dark, or like, but then I kind of got thinking, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, people are going to think I'm crazy, but no, but yeah, I got to thinking about it, and I was like, I'm sure I see posts on Facebook from, new moms that are like, what do I do? I don't know if I, do people take breaks from riding? I'm kind of burnt out, and so I got to thinking about that, and I was like, they're not alone, because I think, like you said, a lot of people go through it for sure.
I think nobody wants to talk about it because they think that they are alone, but so many women go through it. It is something that should be talked about, because you're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just,
no.
I mean, we both have been through it, and
yeah.
I'm sure we'll go through it again, because
yeah. I mean, it's just, you're a mom, it's new to you. Or, first time moms, or, second time moms. I don't even know if it changes when you have more than one or two kids. I feel like the second one was just as scary as the first one.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Like, am I doing this right? What? Yeah. So, I think it's okay to lose your way a little bit,
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think it's okay to lose your way. And then I think because I did, I feel like I kind of came back stronger mentally, going back into training and showing. So I feel like if anybody is struggling with it, I mean, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, I would say.
I agree. So I have a question for you, Sam, and that is, I know that your kids travel with you to the horse shows, and I know that you're taking a lot of horses with, and you have a lot of clients and customers that you and Ryan are working with. And I want to know, how the hell are you doing it? How are you taking those kids to the horse show and preparing yourself to show, Ryan to show, and your clients? How are you doing
that? We have like the most wonderful clients and cow horse group. I mean, countless times, clients will step up and be like, I will take the kids, you go show your horse, and I just, or, grandmas come with, or it's just, it's amazing. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do this without, this support system that we have. We were fortunate enough to buy the second house on our property. So grandma lives right across the road. And I don't know how many times, they come home from daycare and I'm still not done. And, grandma's like, I'll take them. It's fine. She'll give them baths and feeds them supper. And I'm just like, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do any of this without the people that I have,
How hard is it as an independent woman to ask or accept? I should say accept, because I'm guessing you don't ask. They just do. So how hard is it as an independent horsewoman to accept the help that these amazing people are giving you?
It's so hard. I know, going, especially like to the shows, and, there's, like you said, there's not very many times where I have to ask anybody to be like, step up and, be with the kids while I, step in the show pen or, work horses or whatever. But you feel a little guilty, I guess, at the end of the day, you're like, man.
What's so crazy too is why do we feel guilty about that? Because I think as women, we think that we should be able to do it all, that we should have the clean house, that we should be able to put the meals on the table and that are other than Jack's Pizzas. We should be able to watch our kids, keep them looking nice and clean, and then go out there and show and win too. And I think that, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I know for myself too, it's so hard to accept the help that others are giving, because there's this little thing in your head that says you can do it all. And that's bullshit. You can't do it all. And we know that, but it's still freaking hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, my house, like I said, is most days, I'd probably be better off to burn it down and start over most days than try to clean it.
Same.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, it's hard. It's hard to do it all. And the thing is you don't have to.
No.
You have to be okay with not being able to do everything. And I think that was one of my biggest struggles too, after I had both kids, is, that idea of not being able to have your laundry done and folded. And hell, most of the time it sits on this chair in my living room and I don't even fold it, and we
pick out of the pile,
close off the chair. Yeah, it's our laundry chair, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know. For some reason, it just sticks in my head a lot of times is, when grandma and grandpa, my mom and dad, or Ryan's mom and dad, take the kids, and, you step into their house and it's so clean and it's so nice. And I think about that. And I'm like, someday that will be probably me at some point. And, you're going to miss all that
chaos,
the chaos and the toys and the, just, you're going to miss it. And for what? A clean house, right? I mean, it's just, I just think about, someday my kids are going to be grown up and I'll be empty nesting. And at that point, I mean, I know I'll still have them, but I just feel like at the end of the day, the dishes and the laundry can wait. And, as long as everybody's flourishing and healthy and happy, and I feel like I'm doing my part as a mom and a trainer. And yeah.
Absolutely. Sam, what's your favorite part of the training process? Like, is it starting colts for you? Is it finishing some of them? Is it just taking the daily care of them? What is it? What does that look like? What's a favorite part of the process?
I think that probably the favorite thing for me would be, taking those 2-year-olds, they get in that later 2-year-old year, and taking them and spending, all those countless hours, up until they're 3. And then, once you step in that show pen and having success, on those 3-year-olds that, that you did that foundation, you put all that hard work in, and you know, kind of get that back out, and feeling like, you know,
to watch them progress.
Yeah. And it's just very fulfilling, I guess.
It's like raising kids.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Ryan and I always laugh about how similar training horses is, excuse me, to raising your kids. I don't know if you've ever felt the same way.
A little bit.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah, I definitely feel like it's very similar.
Yes. Yesterday, you and I were talking, and I just got to laughing about it last night. We had brought a horse over to Sam and Ryan's that we're pretty excited about, and just wanted them to watch him and see what they thought. And Sam had asked me, well, what did you name him? I'm like, you know what? I don't know yet. I don't have a name for him. And so I was thinking about that last night. What is your process in naming the horses, Sam?
As far as like registration or just barn name?
No. A barn name is
barn
way
name.
more important to me than a registration name.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I mean, I remember a couple years ago, we had bred, we have a couple brood mares, and gosh, I think for like 2 months, I don't think they had names. It's just, I think it comes like with naming your kids, right? You like, you know, I mean, you have less time with your children. I mean, you have to name them before you leave the hospital. But I mean, yeah, I think they went nameless for a little bit until that kind of just like clicked, and I was like, oh yeah, that'll work, right? I mean,
well, that's funny. I was thinking about that, and I'm like, laying in bed, I'm like, we don't have a name for this horse, and I have to be around a horse for a while and just kind of get to know them, their quirks, and then it comes to me, and I take it very seriously. The naming of the barn name is that's an important process to me. Yeah. So I did with a name for the horse, and it might possibly be the worst name that we've ever come up with, but it's a really funny story. So we'll have to share that sometime.
Yeah. I'll look forward to that. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Sam, what, like, as far as mental prep for you going into the show ring, I know that's something that I talk with all of our guests about. What is something that you do, or a routine, or some advice that you could give our viewers?
I guess my main thing is, gosh, when I step on that horse before I go and I show, I try to really just zone in on, you know, how my horse feels, and, you know, step by step go through, you know, my reining run, and, you know, depending upon what I'm showing in, right? And just thinking about how I want it to go, and how each maneuver, you know, I want it to be and feel like. And yeah, I just try to really zone in on that. And you know, I might get kind of quiet and not talk as much, you know, to people out in the show pen, and, you know, or in the warm-up pen, excuse me. And, you know, there was a time when I first started showing, you know, I'd go out there, and I think I was super nervous. And so I would just like nervous talk, right? And Ryan would be like, you need to get your horse warmed up better. And I'd be like, blah, 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 you know, talking and trying to like calm myself down. And I think now that, you know, I have some experience, you know, I think I just, I've realized that I need to really zone in on, you know, how I feel. And a really, really cool thing that I found out that helps me is when I get nervous, I tell myself, you know, it's excitement versus being nervous. And that helps me, you know, try to stay calm, you know, throughout my run, and think about what I'm actually doing versus, I don't know if you've ever done that, where you go in the pen and you walk out and you're like, I have no idea what even just happened. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, you know, you don't even remember like what things have happened in there. And I think I finally got like hit that particular stage where like I was able to come out and be like, crap, this is what happened. Or
because you're so focused mentally.
Yeah,
Um,
mentally you're there,
I
Um,
love hearing what the different women over the past episodes have said on what they're doing to mentally prepare themselves, because I think that the mental preparation is so huge, maybe more so for women than men, and maybe I'm wrong. I know I have a lot of men viewers on here, so if I am wrong about that, you can tell me, but um, women do tend to overthink things. I'm very similar to you. I become quiet, and it's often people think that I'm mad or upset, and I just need to focus. I need that time to just think about what I'm about ready to do and the things that I'm going to really work on. And it's that mental piece of it. I think it's just because women tend to overthink everything, and we're our own worst enemies. And
right.
so that's
Yeah.
good.
I think a huge part of it was, for me anyways, walking in that pen and thinking, well, what if this happens, or what if that happens? And that plays into overthinking things. And you know um I think it comes down to just showing in that moment. And if something does happen, don't worry about like if it's going to happen. And if it does, then you just you deal with it in that moment. And um you just show the horse you have to to your best ability and what you have. And
You know, on a few episodes back, I interviewed Remy Greer, who's from California, and she's a team penner and ranch sorter. And Remy said something, because Remy was a gymnast in her youth too. She said something that just stuck with me. Like, just do it so much it becomes muscle memory. So when things go awry, your muscles know where to put you to make that situation better. And I've thought about that so much, because that is so true. And that goes without saying through everything in life. I mean, just do your best at everything. Try your best, but if you do it consistently enough that, and just keep putting yourself in those situations, it'll just become muscle memory for you to do the right thing when you come to a bad spot or a bump in the road. So
yeah, that's funny that you say that, because I'm actually I'm going through something like that right now. And I've I've had to change a little bit of the way I've been riding my horses, and into the stop. And I've had to try to ride the same down into the stop, that instead of forcing it. So and it was so hard for me, because that muscle memory, like you said, it wasn't there. And so just doing it every day. And like you said, it just all of a sudden one day, like you go and you run down, and it's there. It's just your body goes into the position it's supposed to without forcing it. So that you hit that on the head right there for me.
yeah, when Remy said that, I've thought about it so many times since, and it makes so much sense. And it's always easier when it comes from somebody other than your husband.
For sure. I've had to learn that one the hard way, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm sure that that'll continue to be a struggle for any wife that is married to a horse trainer, or somebody who's highly involved in the horses alongside them.
Right. Yeah. It took us quite a few years to figure out how to work with each other. That's for sure.
For sure.
But I think now, I think we've kind of figured out a system. And it's super nice to have a set of eyes that can help you out, and be able to tell you, gosh, I don't give my husband enough credit, because I mean, before I even started riding cow horses, I was I worked for a few cutters and loped for them, and I showed a little bit, but I had no idea how to do any of the maneuvers.
And he taught you.
Yeah, I mean, everything that I know up to this day, as far as the cow horse goes, my husband is basically the foundation of that all. So I have to thank him, 100% of all that. And even through the cursing and the swearing sometimes. Which, I mean, I think has a lot to do with your pride, but sometimes you just gotta, and I think as I've gotten older and realized that it's probably like okay to listen to your husband because he knows what he's doing, has helped me a whole bunch. Just accepting that criticism.
Yeah, it's easier for me to take the criticism from somebody else versus him some days.
Yeah. Well, I think it just comes along with, it's your husband and you don't want to
disappoint.
Yeah, that's the good word for it. Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it was very, very hard to allow, him to, or accept the fact that he's trying to help to make me better versus, like, why are you picking on me? Why are you picking on me? And
that right there is probably a really good takeaway, is he's trying to help make you better and not pick on you. And it's hard as the wife, girlfriend, whatever, of a horse trainer.
Yeah.
To not see it as you're picking on me.
Right. Yeah.
Funny. Well, we're getting near the end of our time today, Sam. I've really enjoyed our conversation. You did a great job. And
yeah, I was super nervous. I was very excited, like when we talked about it yesterday, and I got on here and I'm like, ooh.
Look at you go. You're doing a great job. Loved it. But before we go, I just want to ask you one more question, and that is our hashtag and something we stand behind. Be the cowgirl you want to be. What does that mean to you?
Be the cowgirl I want to be. I knew, when you asked me that, I was like, I should write some stuff down because when I get to this question, I'm going to be like, but, and of course I didn't because, that's how things go. I think to me, it comes down to, waking up in the morning and being the person you want to be within, training and riding, and knowing that you're one step closer, or you feel like you're a little closer every day to that goal that you have in mind. Right. I just feel, as long as I can lay down at night and know that I put, that 110% into, whatever I'm doing, whether it's the horses or my kids or my husband or, anything else that we have going on. I think that's what means the most to me, is just knowing that I put everything into it, because there's so many times like that, you talked about it earlier, it takes everything to be successful. And, it sounds so much easier just to shut the alarm off in the morning and go back to bed, right? Especially when you get up at midnight, 2:00, to work your horses before it gets hot out. So I think at the end of the day, it's just knowing that I put the effort for it. Maybe my horses didn't work great that day, but at least I can take something away from it and go back the next day and work on it and feel like I had a little bit, better ride, or wow, they were amazing, or whatever. And it's just, I guess, knowing that, like I said, you put everything in there, everything, your whole everything, everything you got.
I had asked you earlier, Sam, what was your favorite accomplishment? And you said being a mom. For me, we had a shady little starlight mare, and it was in between the time that Sam had Gracie and before she was pregnant with Reese. I asked her yesterday just to clarify and make sure I had that concrete. But we were gone at the time, and we had said, take her, show her. And I don't think that you had her for a period longer than a week. It was a very short amount of time that you had to prep her before the actual show. So Sam didn't get a rider that much, but Ryan had said, we're going to have Sam show her. And we're like, that's awesome. Go get it, Sam. And for me as a woman, as a mom, as a cowgirl who's been through the same struggles as Sam is, it's really cool to see somebody, you always want the best for that person. And I love like the success stories. And until you're a mom and you have those same thoughts that most women do about, I'm not good enough, or I have so much on my plate and I can't do this. Sam went out, I think we were in Vegas at the time, and we watched it online, or you sent us a picture. Sam ended up winning the Holidazzle L1 on her and the reigning cow horse. And as a cowgirl and a woman, I was just so proud of Sam because she'd been off for a little bit and she stepped back into that show pen on a mare that she'd not even really had the time to prep or figure out. And she killed it. She did amazing. So for me, Sam, that would be one of my moments that I know of that I think is amazing for you, just because I know the period of life that you were probably going through.
Thank you. Yeah, gosh, to this day, I appreciate, appreciate you guys letting me show that mare. She was a very nice little mare. And, yeah, I really, really appreciate that. And, there's not very many people that, would give, opportunity to somebody that, has, been in the show pen for a while, and they're like, heck yeah, go show her, girl, whatever, and so, it was, a very, very, very grateful moment of my life, to have somebody stand behind me like that, like you guys did, and believe in me for sure.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say it to get a shout out for us. I said it because I think that it's a cool moment for you.
Yeah.
And that I guess that we got to be a part of it. And that was pretty damn cool too. And in the end, we ended up finding her a really cool home in California together. So it all worked.
Yep. And I try to keep tabs on that gal that had bought her, and yeah, she's killing it. She's doing amazing with her, and she loves her so much. And I think that was kind of a cool part of it too, is knowing that she went, to another show home, and the gal that had bought her is, being going on and being successful with her. So that was a really fun part of the whole process as well.
Well, Sam, I think that you're killing it too. I think that you're doing a great job, and it's, I think it's so easy for, in social media, you can make life look amazing, right? Yeah. You don't have to show any of the bad parts or any of the whatever's going on in your life, but you are a shining star. You're doing really good things, and you should be damn proud of what you and your husband have built. And, I personally love the fact that you take your kids to horse shows with you, because this is a lifestyle that you're gone a lot. You're working long hours. And if you didn't do that, even though it's more work, your kids would never see you. Right. So I think that's awesome, Sam. And I wish you guys the best of luck in the future. And I thank you so much for this interview today. You did an amazing job. You've got an amazing story, and you've got good info to share. So thank you. Is there any last words or things that you would like to leave behind or say?
I don't think so. I just thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a good talk, so appreciate it.
It has been a good talk. Well, thank you all for tuning in. If you didn't get a chance to catch it today, or if you want to go back and view some of our previous episodes, remember that they're all on our new YouTube channel, Coffee with the Cowgirl. So make sure you go check that out. Once again, we've got our Top Hand Cowgirl show coming up in October 1st and 2nd at Straight Rail Ranch. It's going to be a super fun time. We're in the process of planning some really cool things to go along with that. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to reach out to me. We look forward to seeing you all next Thursday at 10 o'clock for Coffee with a Cowgirl. Have a great week, guys. Bye, Sam.
Bye. Thanks, Breck. Yep.